Hey, what's up everybody? Bdf 44 coming at you another video. Alright, so I know what the next topic is I wanted to talk about. So many topics I told you guys I wanted to speak on today. One of them being Cuba. So if you've heard about what's going on in Cuba right now, essentially my understanding, though a loose understanding, is that America is trying to keep them from having oil. They're trying to keep them from being able to import their oil. And then from there, also something went wrong with the oil refinery in their country, so that even if oil is imported, ultimately they won't be able to do with it what is necessary, and they're highly dependent on oil in order for their economy to keep going. So from what I'm understanding, essentially their country has completely fallen, and about 11 million people right now are at risk of a lot of different horrific and horrible fates. We're talking about like Gaza level devastation as it pertains to loss of life that could be potentially coming to the great country of Cuba. So I just think it's something that we need to raise awareness for. What needs to happen is that they need to be given a significant amount of aid. They need cleanup crews and a lot of different things to come in to assure that they have a sanitary country that is not filled with disease and different things that ultimately can transpire from what it is that's ultimately happened there. So we're looking at some massive devastation, and I don't follow regular news media. I go get everything strictly from independent news media. So I don't know what the regular people are saying in regards to this, the Fox News and the CNNs. But what I can tell you is if you don't know what's going on in Cuba, you really do need to become hip to what's happening out there, because you're about to see some significant devastation in that country, the likes of which we haven't seen very often. And so it's extremely important that people just become very aware of what's happening in Cuba right now, because they're about to be faced with some things that are just, devastating in regards to sewage that could potentially be flooding out in the streets based on them not having the ability to clean it, food scarcities, massive disease that comes from that, and then when the loss of life comes, massive disease that comes from that. So it's about to be devastating from what it is that's been described to me, and I just think that we need to be aware of what's happening there, and they need a lot of help, man. Billions and billions of dollars going to be necessary to keep them going, and I don't know where they're going to get it from. I don't know if they can get it. America is very much in a position to help them, and I hope that somehow we're held accountable, held to task. Essentially what it is, our country needs to be held to task to assure that they're not depraved or what it is that they need to face this crisis that we've created as a country for their situation by keeping them from their oil. I guess this administration is essentially holding them hostage in that regard, and is very comfortable with the devastation that's going to be coming from it. It's not okay, man. What's going on there is not okay, and it's going to be real bad, like scary bad for a country that has had a lot of culture attached to it. A lot of good has come from their culture, and I'd hate to see their entire country be wiped out by something that could be rather easily fixed. All they need to do is just send in the teams necessary to help clean up, help feed people, get them the clean water that they're going to need going forward, get them the manpower that they're going to need going forward to help support them for what it is that's coming their way. And so this is something that I want to raise awareness for on my channel. We don't just talk about what's going on in Gaza. We don't just talk about what's going on with ICE. We don't just talk about what's going on with different things like that. We want to talk about everything that comes about, anything humanitarian related. If it's going to save some lives, we want to raise some awareness to it. We want to raise some concern and meet the circumstance with the requisite amount of urgency. Urgency is what we're lacking in this country. While our country's genocidal administration and the evil, sick devil worshippers behind them continue to create problems and put forth the devil's intentions upon this earth, it's incumbent upon the people to meet these things with the requisite amount of urgency necessary to make things as difficult as possible for those who want to go forward with these type of intentions. This is devilishness. There's nothing short of that. When it boils down It's just flat out wickedness that's taking place out here, and they're masking it as politics. They're masking it as behind law. But reality is they're sacrificing people, man. They're sacrificing people. They're killing people, and they're doing it on purpose, and they're doing it in some nasty ways. Now, I don't know what Donald Trump has in his heart. I'm not sure that his interests are represented in this situation. I think he's probably just doing more of what Israel tells him to do, if I'm being completely honest with all of you. That's what I think. I don't think he's really representing much of anything that's going on right now as it pertains to what he would choose to do. I don't think so. I think he's doing what they tell him to do. And I think this is yet one of those things. Another one of these things. Everything that our country, our administration is doing, all of these different measures, I do believe comes from the mind of the Israelis and the Zionist people. I do believe that. This is a Zionist-run country, and that's why we're doing a bunch of devilish, evil, racist, wicked, genocidal things. That's exactly why we're doing them, because they are that way and they're controlling us. Not to say that we wouldn't be doing evil things independent of them, but the more I learn, the more I realize they've been in control of a lot of things over the years. Some of that evil stuff that we did in the past, they had a lot to do with that too. But they got a lot more leverage than they've ever had right now than they've ever had, and because of it, you're seeing this country do some really wicked and just devilish things, man. And I'm telling you, this is what's going on in Cuba. It's about to be the latest one, man. It's about to be the latest one. And I don't know how, like I said, I don't know how this is going to be covered by national media. I don't think they're probably going to even say much about anything. And if they do say much about anything, it's going to be after the fact, just like they did in regards to Gaza. And there's still a lot of people alive right now in that country. Still a lot of people who have yet to face the consequences that are ultimately headed their way because of what has been done here. It's not minor, man. That's what I'm trying to get people to understand. It is not minor. Cuba is in a lot of trouble right now, man. A lot more than people would be aware of, if not for people like myself telling you. It's bad. Bad, bad. Hey, buddy, what's going on? Yeah. So that's what I'm telling y'all. If we're gonna talk about what's going on in places of devastation and stuff like that, don't go too far from Cuba, because they got it real bad right now, man. And I am definitely worried for 11 million Cuban citizens, man. And look, I hear people who are saying, yo, Cuban citizens in America voted for this. A lot of them voted for this. A lot of them are the biggest MAGA. I don't give a shit. I don't care, fam. What evil people do in discarding of other people is not relevant to saving people's lives. That is a minute and childish conversation as to say that some people supported it, so we shouldn't care because other people are going to die. I don't give a shit what a bunch of turncoats did in discarding of their own people. I'm not interested in it. Do you see what I'm saying? That's what needs to be said. Because that's what a lot of Americans are saying. Well, there's a lot of Cubans who voted for this. I don't give a shit. Bad people do bad things to good people. Good people don't deserve it. End of story. That's my reaction to anybody that tries to qualify indifference with the presence of betrayers. I don't care about that. Just because they threw their people under the bus don't mean that I'm going to throw their people under the bus. Just because they voted for a genocidal regime doesn't mean that I'm going to support what that regime is doing. If there's a bunch of people who hate their own people, that's their business. I don't care about that. What I do care about is the people they don't care about. And that's going to be the interest of what it is that we talk about on this channel. Not saying it's fine to not care because their own people don't care. That's devilish in and of itself. That's a devilish thought. It stems from the same evil that would drive people to do the things that is being done there. Not moved. Not going to be moved. It's equivalent to telling me a child deserves to be in bad circumstances because the parent didn't care about the child. No, I'm not rolling with that. It's the village's responsibility to care about the child. If the child has bad parents, then the village takes care of the child. And that's exactly what I'm looking at it like in that regard. So if you turned on your own people, you ain't like your own, you sided with the evil ones over your own people, I just put you over there with the evil ones. You were not a part of your people. You were never their people. You might have wear their skin, but you ain't their people. I'm more their people than you are in that regard, because I don't want to see nothing happen to them. And apparently you didn't care. That doesn't move me. That's not going to knock me off my square. That's the same thing I say about DJ Khaled, who don't care about his own Palestinian people. You think that's going to keep me from caring about the Palestinian people because he don't give a damn about them? I don't care about him. he ain't driving anything over here. He's just one more example of what it looks like when you don't care about your own people. We got enough of that in my own community. I'm not interested in highlighting that as a means of being fine with it, indifference to the suffering of people. No, I don't care about that. That's the same conversation I have for those who are running around as Spanish ICE agents. You think I'm gonna stop caring about people who are being chased down by ICE because you got Spanish ICE agents? No, I don't give a shit about the Spanish ICE agents. They just as evil as the people who are behind them. I'm not interested in that. That don't move me. That's not gonna make me indifferent to innocent people who are being harmed. No. It takes a village of people who are not affected to stop the harm. Civil rights movement has taught us that, and many other movements as well, where you saw people who were not affected, who were not hurt, who had plenty to lose, who sacrificed to assure that they brought about a greater number to the resistance itself. And at this point, I just want to be a resistance to whoever needs it. In this conversation, it's Cuba. In a previous conversation, it was ICE and Hispanic people. In the conversation before that, it's the people of Gaza. The conversation before that, it was my own people. It don't change, man. A lot of y'all was on some All Lives Matter. Okay, well, that's what I'm on, but not in a derogatory way. Once it's time to talk about somebody else's problems, we talk about their problems too. Once we start talking about what's going on and the harm that's happening to children, we talk about all children. I don't have any kids. That doesn't mean I'm not willing to use my voice to protect each and every one of them. That's the problem that I was making, the problem that I was pointing out in the last video. Too many people are giving themselves too many excuses to be what is considered responsible in an irresponsible world. What's considered to be responsible in an irresponsible world is shutting your mouth, focusing on your business, and not giving a shit about anything outside of your circumference. I'm not rolling with that. I'd rather be crazy and weird in that world, and it just so happens to be the world I'm in. I'd rather be an outcast in that world, because that's the world where I get to help wake people out of that nonsense and hopefully save some lives in the process. Hopefully. May not be able to, hopefully. Too many people are indifferent. They suffered themselves, they didn't see nobody come to their aid, and then they became more of the same. Nobody cared about me when I needed help. And the first thing you do when you see somebody who needs some help is not care. All right then, you're just more of the same. You're doubling down on your own pain by duplicating that for which was indifferent to you. I'm not doing that. I'm too spiritually smart to do that. That's bankrupt. And we've had that conversation on this channel many times, man. That ain't a new concept either. The first thing a person who was harmed does in a lot of cases is become an abuser. Something happened to you, now you want to pass it along. No. Karma came early. I ain't letting abuse or indifference turn me into a monster or an abuser. No. I'm going to show forth and bring forth what it is that wasn't shown. And in doing so, hopefully inspire others to do the same so it can do away with that for which discarded of me. That's how I have to look at that, and that's how you do too. I was once told, if you want to see some good in the world, you better be it. Don't wait for somebody else to be that. It's the same thing we were talking about in the last video. If you're waiting for they to hold these people accountable for the Epstein's files, they are not going to do that. You have to do that. You got to raise awareness. You got to make up a fuss. You got to gain the leverage. You got to do whatever to make sure that those kids are saved. You ain't waiting for they to do that. They're not going to do it. And that's what's wrong with a lot of us. We're too busy waiting on they. Them. They ain't doing it. They the ones doing this. And if I'm going to be responsible in the world they control, then I'm shutting my mouth, I'm walking down the street, I'm not saying nothing, I'm going to work, I'm focusing on what it's buying, and that's it, and I don't care about nobody else. And one at a time, all of us do that, and people suffer while everybody watches dystopian, holding their camera, not talking about nothing. People suffering, dying, all that, and you're just concerned about your own self until it knocks on your door. Then your dumb ass sitting there saying, oh, where's the humanity? The humanity is where it was in your gut. When you didn't display it, you kept it inside instead of letting it come out. The humanity was supposed to be in you. when you saw them other people suffering and you didn't say nothing? That's where the humanity's at. That's why I'm like, man, I'm over that. I ain't on that. I ain't been on that at all. Since I was awoken to what was going on in this country in various different ways, since I became aware of what's controlling this country, what's controlled the city I'm from, like Hollywood, in the belly of the damn beast. I became aware that I was not supposed to be like them. I might be here, but I'm not of here. I'm from Hollywood. I am not Hollywood. I'm from the soil of this place, man. I'm what it really represents, not that fake shit that these people did on the land, but a person of the land. Just like those who came before it. The natives who used to walk these lands before these people came here and started doing all the evil, sacrificing the children and stuff. I represent the people who are actually native to this place. You understand what I'm saying? So no, I'm not going to be doing what the colonizers did. The colonizers don't have no roots in this land that they didn't ultimately take from somebody else. I'm not doing that. I'm not normalizing that just because there's millions of people around that do. And the millions of reasons to do so based on a love for money and things. I'm not rolling. I'm a believer in God, man. And as I believe in God, he compels me to be crazy in a world where it's sane to be fine with kids being slain. You understand what I'm saying to you? I won't do it. And so with that being said, man, all eyes on Cuba at this point. Pay attention to what's going on over there. Look at those people. Have compassion and demand mercy for those people in their circumstances. Because they're about to go through something that none of us wish to ever see in our lifetimes, man. Based on what it is our country is doing to them. Just like we saw with Gaza. We didn't save any lives in Gaza. We let all them people suffer and die while we sat here and worried about ourselves. We do not have to do that shit with Cuba, man. You do not have to do that with them. So that's all I'm trying to say right now, man. And look, I'm not Hispanic. I don't have any Cuban blood. I've had people ask me if I'm Cuban. No, I'm not. I'm black. I come from slaves. I come from Native Americans, bro. But I'm not just thinking about myself. All I got to think about is myself. That's what makes me human and responsible. Is just thinking about my own people. That's it. Come on, man. That can't be what it's about. Too many people are suffering. Too many people are showing indifference to real life suffering, bro. And when it knocks on your door, you're going to wish more people would have followed what it is that I'm speaking right now so that you have some help for your situation. Instead of people sitting there gawking at you, looking at you, holding the camera and not saying nothing when you're suffering. Come on now. Let's act like we understand that there's something greater than that for which we learn. Because a lot of what we learn is not right. It's warped, man. An animal and a child show you compassion. Now, let's not act like all we know is this stupid stuff that we've been on, man. Let's just be honest. I understand that we've been raised by dystopian nonsense and me, my, custom for me, everything's mine, and I can't be disruptive because but you've seen enough people be disruptive to understand over the years with all these different movements that being disruptive is what brings about the change that ends the suffering of peoples. Y'all know that. We can't act like we don't know this. You may not know all the history, but you understand that there were people who didn't look like me that stood up for my people. And that's why we have freedom today. On top of the fighting that we were doing for ourselves, it was also people that didn't benefit from our freedom, who may have even benefited from our enslavement, that stood up like John Brown and made things happen. They put their own lives on the line. They put their own reputations on the line. And they stood up and they demanded change in the presence of a great deal of people who were afraid of it. And if you don't think that's what brings about the change, then you're not paying attention. I understand there's going to be some people who look at you like you're crazy. I understand there's going to be some people that are going to say, going to try to take things from you, going to try to gatekeep you out of the circumstances you're trying to be in. I understand that there's going to be a certain time in your life where you're going to feel like you're the only person talking. Everybody responsible is quiet. Everybody sane is quiet. I understand that. But I also understand that it's this insane. It's those who are not being quote unquote responsible that bring about the change that ends the suffering of many. And we need more of that because we're seeing more suffering. That's what I'm here to tell you. Don't let capitalism trick you out of an opportunity to love yourself for what it is you were able to do in your lifetime. Because that's what we're doing out here. We're letting capitalism trick us out of an opportunity to look ourselves in the mirror and see good people. And it's not worth it, especially when our dollar is losing value by the second because of the people who are controlling things and what their choices are, and what their values are, and what they prioritize. And watch people be indifferent when it comes to the suffering of my own folks. Gaslight us, tell us we ain't nothing, to know what I'm looking at and to know how to combat it. You can't do that to other people when they suffering. You can't do that. And that's what we've been trained to do. And look, I don't care if there are a majority of people who are indifferent, fam. I really don't care. I'm indifferent to them being indifferent. That doesn't move me at all. That's what I want to say to y'all. If y'all following what it is I'm saying, this is what it is. We do not sit here and look at those who don't give a damn about people and say that's what's most responsible. We're not doing that. We're not teaching our kids that. What's most responsible is standing on your square, whether you got some pressure against you or not, whether people want to take something from you or not, you stand on it. Stand on what you believe in. You use your voice and you use your body to make a difference if at all possible. And if the bad guys are controlling things and their rules you break. You don't lose confidence in what right and wrong is just because wrong is being what's pressed up against your society. You do what you need to do so that you can restore balance. You don't go with the grain as it pertains to the dystopian nonsense. You move against that and you correct it. That's our responsibility because we're passing something to our next generation, and that next generation is going to suffer a lot worse than us if we let this generation get away with all of this doing right now. And that's what I've been trying to say, man. I'm trying to be what I call a responsible ancestor. A responsible ancestor, valuing the right things that I hope, if duplicated, can make about a greater reality for them in the future. Because the way things are going right now, we're passing forward so much suffering, so much war, while we're trying to be responsible, while we're valuing things and attention. We are passing forward so much suffering to them people that have yet to be here yet. Our kids, our grandchildren, who are going to be fighting wars that we're starting right now. Forever wars that could last 20, 30, 40 years because of who you fighting with and how relentless they are. And if our ancestors would have been a bit more, just a little more responsible in that regard, some of them forever wars that we've been fighting wouldn't continue to have gone down this road. We wouldn't have lost as many people as we did. That's the point. And I'm telling you, it's a lot of beautiful buildings around me, a lot of happy people, wealthy people, people who have got their lives going in the right direction. The environment is at risk. That place where your dreams have come true, it may not stand the same way because of people who are doing the things that are being done right now. And who they fighting with, who they want to pick fights with, and who our government is aligning with and why. A lot of what you understand, and I've been trying to explain, a lot of what you see that's really, really beautiful and comfortable, it's all at risk because of that type of energy, man. Because of a combination of your indifference and their wickedness. Your selfishness and self-centered nature and their worshiping of God, everything but God, basically. I'm telling y'all, man, we can't possibly think that everything's just going to continue to be as beautiful as it is if you got evil people running things in a way that discards of kids. You can't possibly think things are going to stay same, man. You can't possibly think you're just going to be able to keep walking like this. You cannot. Eventually it's going to, the chicken's going to come home, man. That's what it comes down to. They come to roost. And when that happens, then you understand what it is I've been trying to help people understand, what was necessary to guard against and protect against and try to ward off, so to speak. We have to change. You can't wait for that. Yeah, that's what it is. You can't wait for them. They aren't going to save you. You have to save us all. That's what it comes down to. And if you're only thinking about yourself, you're not going to be effective in that. Bdf 44, thank you all for watching. I'm out.